and then I'll introduce you. Okay, welcome everybody. We are here with Amanda tonight, and we're going to be talking about tax tips and information for direct sales, because people are asking us questions all the time about what we can write off and what we can't. And I mean, I guess the best word of advice is talk to your accountant, but that's what Amanda does. So we invited her on to hear what she has to say. And I don't know, Amanda, do you actually do personal tax or business taxes? If anyone needs their taxes done, are you available?
I do. So I work for a company in Waterloo.
Okay.
Do taxes kind of on the side, like using my company to like the programs and everything.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah, we specialize in business, like corporate taxes and personal taxes. So we're getting into our busy season now. This is my 12th tax season. I've run tax season a few times at my office before I'm at leave. So I don't want to say I'm an expert, but I really love it, and I've studied it a lot. So yeah, I'm a good person to ask questions to, especially if you don't have an accountant. If you have any questions and you just want to bounce them off of someone, you can always send me a personal message. If you have an accountant, I definitely agree with Lorna though. Talk to your accountant. There are some gray areas, and every accountant kind of will do things differently. I can just tell you how I would do it and how my company kind of handles direct sales. I've done tons of people's taxes who do direct sales, so I've actually done a few 31 consultings. So
awesome
to see that. So
okay, can you just I don't know if you just need to sort of speak closer to the microphone, or I don't know if you have buds, but yeah, you were a little bit in and out, and Chantal says you sound far away. I don't think you sound far away, but we're a little bit in and out. So
okay,
yeah, either just speak right at your microphone, but I mean, I can hear you fine. So
okay.
Awesome. There's 15 people on the call right now. Oh, somebody said they can't. Tamara said she can't hear at all. Anybody else not here? Wait, if you can hear, put your thumbs up. Okay, so, I'm just going to message Tamara. Okay, go ahead, Amanda.
Okay, can everyone hear me now? Sorry, I'm talking a little quiet. My daughter is just in the next room.
I'm good. I can hear you.
Yeah. Okay. Well, if anyone can't, just message and I'll be louder. I pulled it closer, so hopefully, I don't know where the mic is on this thing, so.
It sounds good to me, so.
Okay. Oh, it's because you have earbuds in. Okay. Well, if you can't hear me, I'll try to talk louder. Should I just jump in?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so one of the biggest things that everyone was asking about was expenses. So I figured I would start there. It's obviously the most common question because everyone wants to know how they can minimize their 31 income. So the one that I feel like everyone forgets about is automobile expenses or mileage. Like you definitely are driving if you're doing deliveries, you're going to CNC meetings, or if you're going to your parties or vendor events. So there are two ways you can handle automobile expenses. One is really complicated and one is a lot less painful. So the first one I have listed is mileage, which is a lot less painful. So basically what you would do is you would just track any mileage that is specific to 31. So like I have an Excel spreadsheet. Every time I deliver something to a customer, I just document what day it was, where I went, and then I go on Google Maps and I figure out how many kilometers it was round trip, and I stick it in there. And then CRA has actually, so when I say CRA, I mean Canada Revenue Agency, which is the government. They actually give you prescribed mileage rates. So if you drove, I think I drove 200 or between 200 and 400 kilometers for 31 in 2018. So if I go to the CRA website, they're going to tell me that I can write off 55 cents for every single one of those kilometers for the first 5,000 kilometers I drive, and then it's a decreased rate after the 5,000. And then for 2019, it's even higher. So if you haven't tracked your mileage for 2018 because you just didn't know, you could do a rough estimate if you know where you went, what you did, what you delivered. But if not, start for 2019. So just start a log, whether it's on paper or whether you do it in Excel or however you want to do it. And then at the end of the year, all you have to do is add all up all those trips, figure out what your total kilometers is, and multiply it by these rates that CRA gives you. So it's just an easy way to like add a few $100s of expenses to deduct from your income and lower that. So I do suggest keeping a log in case the CRA ever asks for it. But generally they wouldn't, but just in case. And yeah, that's the easiest way to do automobile, because the other way is a lot more complex. You'd have to like literally add up all of your gas receipts, all of your vehicle repairs and maintenance, your licensing, tolls, if you take the 407, if you pay for parking, like everything. And then you have to figure out how many kilometers you drove total in the year versus how many kilometers you just drove for business. So you can see how just doing the mileage is just a lot less tracking. You don't have to track all of your expenses. And I've done comparisons for clients because they've asked, well, which is going to be the biggest bang for my buck? If I have to track all of my automobile expenses, am I going to get more of an expense out of it? And generally, no. It's actually less because, well, and it depends on, I mean, what kind of vehicle you have, if you have to use premium gas or if you have a lot of repairs or maintenance. But for the average person, the mileage rates that CRA provides are actually like a better deal for an expense. So does anyone actually track their mileage? No? That's something to think about. I think mine ended up being, I think I had 400 kilometers and at like 55 cents. That's like 200 and something dollars. So
Chantal says that she tracks her mileage.
There you go.
And Erica says she does the long version. I also do. I don't track my mileage, but I calculate all my expenses. And
oh my gosh.
Yeah, and it's a lot, but like my accountant does, I think he does 50% of everything. So anything that's related to my car, my gas, everything, it's 50%. So, so it's one or the other, right? You wouldn't do both.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. No, you can't do both. So it's one or the other. So but you have to pick a way and stick with it for like a specific year. You can't choose to do like to switch it up in the middle of the year. So.
Okay. Awesome.
Okay. So that's one that a lot of people don't do. So I figured I'd start there. Another one that people might not be writing off is if you go to conference and you pay for that fee, you know, you pay for your hotel, you pay for meals, maybe you pitch in gas money for whoever's carpooling, or if you're the one driving, record that mileage because you can write that all off as a travel expense. So that's a good one. And you would do it in Canadian dollars because I know it's in the US. So you know, just make sure you're converting it to Canadian by looking at your credit card statement or however you paid for it and figuring out what that was in Canadian dollars. So, and then there's a lot of other expenses, the most popular ones I've noted here. So sorry, Penny, is that for mileage? Oh, like if you're pitching gas money. Yeah, I mean, because you're not going to have a receipt for gas money. So yeah, just document it somewhere. The government's not going to question, especially if it's like $50. Like they're not going to question it. So I always just jot everything down. I have an Excel spreadsheet and I just like kind of keep track of everything. Like if I purchase something off Amazon, all that kind of stuff. So okay, so just to go into some of these other expenses, some of them were ones that people had asked about specifically. Yeah, that's a good call too, Erica. If you take a picture of like a receipt from the driver, so if they paid for gas and you pitched like $20, you could take a picture of that receipt and just like document that you gave however much money for the gas. Okay, so cell phone. Everyone's going to have a different opinion on this. I personally write off 50% of my cell phone bill. I use it for other stuff a lot, so I don't write off the whole thing. I also take a bit of a conservative approach just because I've seen how CRA can disallow certain things. So I'm a little bit conservative in how I think. So if your accountant suggests something different, by all means, some people will write off 75%, some people will write off the whole thing. I just personally only take half. So what do you do with that, Lorna? Do you write off any of your cell phone?
You know what? My cell phone is, it runs through my husband's business.
Okay.
So we have a
Yeah.
business plan. So
Yeah.
we don't pay anything for that.
Can't even.
Yeah, I
Okay.
don't.
So just something to keep in mind. I always just keep my receipts for my cell phone, and then I just have it as backup. Technically, if you're going to claim anything on your tax return, whether it's business related or not, you have to keep records for 7 years. So it can be electronic. So just keep your Excel, keep your little logbooks, keep your receipts. It has to be kept for 7 years. The government could technically go back and check 7 years. In the past, they might not, but it's better to have it in case they ask for it. So if you are writing off these expenses, just remember to keep it handy somewhere. Home office expenses. And so when I say home office expenses, I mean like business, not business supplies, because that means something different to us, but so home office supplies. So if I go, like I just ordered ink off of Amazon for my printer because I've been printing those bookmarks. So I wrote off the $62.14 as a business expense. I have gone to, Staples and bought folders and filing and like stuff to keep all my 31 things organized. I wrote off all of that. I have purchased some of the fold and files from 31, and I wrote that off as office supplies. So when you file your taxes, there is a specific form for your self-employment income. So you're going to get a T4A, and your commission income is going to show on that. And that's going to flow to what's called the T2125. And it's just a statement of business expenses. And so on the T2125, there is a line for tons of different expenses. So if you do your own taxes and you have the software, take a look at each line and see if you have any of those expenses, and then you can put your expenses on the appropriate line on that form. If you use an accountant, you don't get to see that form before you file your taxes. You can actually go onto the government website and the CRA website and just look up that form, and you can look up a blank copy, and then you can see all the different lines and see what the government allows as business expenses. So obviously not every single one is going to pertain to our business because it's general, it's for every single type of business. So and I can screen share what it will look like if anyone wants to see it, but it's pretty easy to find online. Okay, so then the next one is I mean, I use my printer. Sorry, Chantel is just saying that she uses her printer for her day job too as a teacher. Her accountant says that she can't write it off. Maybe write off like every second pack of ink then, depending on how much you use it. I use mine very infrequently for other things, so I pretty much am only using it for 31, so I write off anything. If I buy paper for my printer, if I buy ink for my printer, it's all getting written off because the far and few times I use it personally, it doesn't really matter. I would ask your accountant maybe why they suggest that. They might have a reason in mind, and they can give you rationale on that. But if you're using it partially, I would try to write off some part of the expenses, especially if you're printing a lot. Now that we have to print those bookmarks, I think you'll be using your printer a lot more for 31. Okay, so business supplies. Anything that you purchase through the 31 website as business supplies. Sorry, I'm just reading Chantal's message. Okay, yeah, so if he's saying that you can't write it off for teaching, 31 should be fine. So if you're using it partially for 31, you'd be able to justify at least writing off a portion. Even if you add up all of your like printer expenses for the year and like figure out a percentage that you use for 31, that should be fine. I wouldn't see a problem with that. If someone gave that to me and I was their accountant, I would write off the portion. So anything for business supplies that you order either through the 31 website, or if you go out and buy it, say you have to go buy pens for you're hosting a party or a vendor event, you need pens for people to fill out the prize information. Expense it. I just actually went through all of my 31 orders that were assigned to my name and looked through just to make sure I wasn't missing any of my business supplies. And I was, because I had purchased, I think, extra catalogs and I hadn't recorded in my Excel spreadsheet. So it's nice that we can go back and look at our 31 orders and you can filter it by your name.
And there's also a code. So if you find a business supply order, it's a 3-digit code. Most of them start with C. So like CPT or something. And then you can actually filter all of those and then you can print them all. So you can get, so you can print all those, and also your website. If you're paying for a website, you can filter those and print those off. And then too, like if you buy any customer specials that you're going to be using, I know you're not there yet, but demo products and stuff, you can print everything off of TOT and use all those receipts. So they're all there for you. They've set that all up. So
that's perfect. I never even thought of filtering it by order type. That makes it so much easier.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next one, somebody had specifically asked about this. So I like to call these promotions. So if I offer free shipping, if I give 10% off to a customer, I always offer my VIP customers, their first order, they get $5 off if they're part of my VIP group. If you are offering, like, sometimes I give referral gifts. So if I host a party and someone books a party off of that party, I'll give the hostess a referral gift. Anything like that. If you offer free personalization on an item, keep track of it, because you can write that off as an expense, and I call it advertising. So there is a line on the T2125 that's called advertising and promotion, I believe, and that's totally fair game. Like, you're taking money out of your own pocket to run your business, so write it off. So just keep track of it somehow.
Okay, I have a question. So I know that my accountant really sort of pushes the envelope. So when it comes to referral gifts, so, I like wine. I keep all my LCBO receipts, and maybe not all of them, but I write them off as referral gifts. Oftentimes when I go to a party, I will take a bottle of wine to the hostess. But there's a lot of things I write off as referral gifts. I write off gift cards as referral gifts. Like if I buy gift cards at Christmas time for even my friends and family, I write them off as referral gifts. I know that's kind of really pushing it, but those things can be referral gifts, right? Like Starbucks cards and Tim Hortons cards and really anything like that, right?
Yeah. And I mean, it is pushing the envelope.
Oh yeah, no, I know that. But I'm just, those are the ideas that I think people don't.
Yeah.
It's like when you say too about the, when you offer free shipping or free personalization, I bet you so many of us are not recording that. We're not writing that down, and that is an expense, right? So I've started, like even if I'm just taking orders over the phone, the order sheet that I have a space right on the side. So anything that I'm paying with my credit card, I write down there, so I know that that's an expense for me.
So Julie asked if website would be advertising. I put it as advertising. So I'm gonna actually show you my spreadsheet. I don't care if you guys see it. We're all in this together, right? But no, I'll show you. Sorry, my dog. I'll show you how I organize it and kind of where I put things. My spreadsheet was a little messy last year because it was my first year, but yeah, definitely. Referral gifts, wine for sure. I hosted a party and I bought like 3 bottles of wine, and I bought orange juice to make mimosas because it was in the morning, and I bought a bunch of food, and I wrote all of that off because it wasn't for me, it was for the party. So just like little things to think about. Yeah, definitely if you're buying wine for a hostess, if you're bringing things to a hostess party, snacks, anything like that, keep track of it all. Just keep the receipt, put it somewhere. Like I have a file folder and I just kind of stick everything in there, and then I'm trying to go monthly where I update my spreadsheet monthly, and then it's just a little easier to handle than trying to do it all the tax time. So Happy Mail. If you send things to your customers, not only should you be writing off any of the supplies that you are, like if you buy envelopes, if you buy like key fobs or nail files or whatever you're putting in your Happy Mail or whatever, but also the postage. So, or if you have to drive to the mailbox or to the post office, record your mileage. So just little things to think about. It all kind of adds up. Oh, yes, Stephanie. Sorry, I just saw that. But yeah, So just keep track of like every little thing. What was I going to say? Just going to say something. If you subscribe to the, I guess it's the seasonal guides now, but last year it would have been the monthly flyers. That's an expense. I put that to advertising, I think, as well, because technically it's a catalog. You're advertising yourself. So you could put it to office, however you want to do it. The CRA is not necessarily so picky on how you categorize your expenses. If they are going to ask, they're just going to ask for proof for all of it. It doesn't happen often. I don't want to scare anyone. Just keep going down. So I already kind of touched on refreshments. So if you buy snacks or anything to do a home party, write it off. Vendor events. If you go to a vendor event and you have to pay for a table, then you should be writing off that expense as well. You should also be calculating your mileage to travel there. So it all just kind of like links together.
Do you want to take questions as you go, or do you want to maybe take questions at the end of each section, or do you want people to write stuff down and go back at the end? Because I'm sure people are jotting notes down, and it's totally up to you if you want to kind of do it per section or if you want to do everything at the end, whatever you think.
I'm okay with people like I'm actually like reading the messages.
Okay, perfect.
I'll kind of like maybe open it at the end so people want to like unmute themselves.
That's
and,
a great
ask
idea.
A question, just because it's sometimes easier to just talk it out.
Yeah.
Okay, so those were kind of just like all the other expenses that I kind of thought about. So I guess maybe I'll do demo products and incentives, and then I'll show you my spreadsheet, and then we'll talk about home office, because I'm sure there's going to be a lot of questions about home office. So I was recently told by my insurance company if I was claiming car expenses on my taxes, I had to change my insurance to a business vehicle. I've never heard of that. Technically, if you are a sole proprietor, your business is your name. You're not a corporation. So I don't know what to say to that. So it's not like it's not like you're a registered business with the government. If you want to incorporate, which you can't do as a 31 consultant, then you would have, then I could see them saying that, because you'd have like a corporate name with the government. A corporation is a completely separate entity. When you're running, you're called a sole proprietor. So when you're running a business as a sole proprietor, it's all on you. You're the same entity as your business, if that makes sense.
You know what? I have heard somebody say that before, that an insurance company told them that they can't write anything off unless they change their insurance to business, but it's more money for the insurance companies. Yeah. And I have heard that, but then I've also heard people say, don't listen to the insurance companies. They just want more money for
insurance. Exactly. And like, I don't even know how you would, I guess they would just change it to business, but for as little as you're driving, that's why another reason why just writing off your mileage is so much easier. You don't have to worry about any of that. Yeah. I'm assuming they would just change it to business and not put it in the corporate name, which doesn't make sense to me. I don't know. If you're not using your car only for business. Oh yeah, totally a cash grab. If you're using your vehicle for personal and for business, that's crazy to have to change it all to business. Okay, so I'm gonna talk about demo products now. So everyone has a different idea on this. Every accountant is probably going to say something else. I know Laura and I even have like differing opinions on this, and that's totally fine. This is kind of one of those gray areas. I just know what my company's practices are with this, because we've seen the government disallow certain things, not necessarily specifically with 31, but just other direct sales companies. So you are taxed, for demo products. So say you purchase something and you're going to use it personally, but your intention is that you're going to wear it out and about and it's going to help sell your business. So like, I've literally gone to Costco and I've seen women whose large utility totes say I love 31, like right on them. And right away I'm like, hey, you're a consultant. So that absolutely, I'd be like, yeah, that's a demo product. Like, you're going to that store, putting that I love 31 facing out so everyone can see it. Like, you're trying to sell your business. I do write a lot of my stuff off as demo products. Anytime I buy anything from a new catalog, I write it off, because I'm wanting to show it either when I'm doing a Facebook party or I'll just go live in my VIP group and I'll just share it. I have tons of stuff that I've bought that I've never used myself. But there are some things that I will buy that I just want it. I'm not ever probably going to show it off necessarily. Like I already have 3 large utility totes. So if I buy another one, it's probably not as a demo product. It's because I just want it, especially if it's not in a new print. So in my opinion, I probably wouldn't write off that 4th large utility tote if it was just in an old print or a pattern that I already have. Everyone might have differing opinions, and you might say, well, I'm going to take that to home parties, I'm going to take that to vendor shows, so I'm going to write that off. So if that's your position, then absolutely. So the one thing that CRA doesn't like about about direct sales companies is that people write off everything that they buy from the company, even if it's not specific to business. So like people will write off if they buy something as a gift for a family member. The government wouldn't see that as a business expense. You can justify it as a business expense, sure.
Maybe it's a referral gift.
And I know you said that earlier. I knew you were going to say that. And that's fine. Like if you want to do it, I'm just more conservative. And it's because of the line of work that I'm in. So as long as you can justify it to yourself, make sure you have a receipt.
As long as you can sleep at night, is that what you're trying to tell me? Exactly. As long as you can sleep at night.
I mean, the chances that CRA is really going to like audit you, your tiny little business, like it's a very slim to none chance. So I'm just going to tell you my position on it. I don't write off everything. I write off a lot, but I don't write off everything. So does anyone have questions about that? Because I have a feeling you're going to.
So, sorry, I'm just looking ahead in your notes. Mm-hmm. So this kind of demo product, can we talk for a minute about, because we all just got our T4As.
Yeah.
And so there's your T4A, and then it also came with a statement of income, which so it breaks it down into monetary and non-monetary income. Mm-hmm. So let's talk about the non-monetary income. That's all of like your K-kits, your, any kind of incentives and stuff like that. So what are we doing with that?
Okay, so if I look at mine right now, I have Starts Well, I have my wishes come true, and then I have my productivity incentives, my hostess exclusives, and my hostess credit. So I have like a lot on here that's like non-monetary. And so when I was keeping track of my expenses last year, if I used my Start Swell credits or my Wishes rewards to buy things that were for my business, I kept track of that. So, because I knew I was going to be taxed on it. So I kept track of all of that, because if it was for my business, I'm not going to eat this income without writing off the corresponding expense. So I definitely suggest that you go back, and if you can, it's not easy to figure out what you used Wishes rewards and stuff on. Like when I looked at it, it just looked like a normal like business, or however, how did we have to do Wishes rewards? It's been so long since I put it in order.
Wait, it's just it was a payment. Well, if you bought product, it's a business supply, but then it was the payment type was Wishes. Right. But if you got a Visa or Disney gift card, it was a Wishes order type. Yeah.
So because I tried to go back to like make sure I had all my Wishes rewards, and it was hard to tell, especially if I was doing it through business supplies, because it was just a payment. It wasn't necessarily like a different type of order. So I just made sure that I went through and actually kind of did it as I went. I would highlight that cell in I'll show you my Excel. I would highlight it, and then at the end of the year when I got this, I agreed to what it was. So some things I bought for myself, and I just had that in a separate column, but my total all agreed. So definitely just make sure you're keeping track of all of your expenses. Like don't just rely on like what's gone through your credit card, because there are tons of things that we get for free with 31. So
let's go back to January when whoever earned that weekender as that productivity incentive. Mm-hmm. So it's going to show up on your T4A for next year. But I mean, the reason they choose those products is they're new products that are coming. They want us to use those as demo products. So for example, if that's the only one you earned that year and that came out in your T4A next year, then you can write off that whole amount, that whole 100% of that productivity incentive.
Absolutely.
Okay. And I'm going to say this, I'm guesstimating the same with the K-Kits because they're setting us up with new products. So your K-Kits would be the same. Where
Absolutely.
it gets iffy is when we're talking wishes rewards and when you guys start earning LIT. So that's a huge expense. And for me, for all the travel this year that I'm doing with PAC too, like I think last year's LIT trip was about $5,000. So that's on my earnings as $5,000. Now, when it comes to me writing it off, normally when I send my accountant that, he just deducts all my non-monetary income because it's business. So can I do the same with the trip? Like with the $5,000, that's part of my incentive trip. It's a work. We're not doing work on the trip. However, we are networking work on the trip. Like, I don't know. What would you do with that sort of dollar amount?
Did you get to bring your spouse?
Yeah.
I might write off only 50% because your spouse came. So you could probably justify your portion of the trip as a business expense.
Okay.
Yeah, I would definitely write a portion off. You wouldn't be going if it wasn't for this one, and it's not like you're just going.
Yeah. And maybe I didn't want to go to Bahamas for a week, right?
Oh yeah, right. My next point was incentives, and so I just wrote here, my little blurb was your tax on incentives you receive, and that includes if we talk about hostess rewards, and so the credits and any free exclusives that you earn in a party that's under your name, you're taxed on. So in my opinion, for the incentives, so on my T4, my productivity incentives are $448. That is just, I believe, the retail value of whatever products I earned in 2018. In my opinion, I didn't want maybe any of those products. I definitely wouldn't have bought myself the Diamond District because I just wouldn't have seen the need for it as a mom who carries a diaper bag everywhere. Yeah. So I'm writing off 100% of those incentives as a business expense. I'm putting it to I think I have a demo products or something like that column in my spreadsheet. And I'm putting the whole stinking thing because I didn't ask for it. Yeah, I worked for it, but I didn't ask for it. Maybe it's not the print that I would have wanted or that my customers would like. So I'm putting the whole thing, and I'm going to use it to sell. Like that weekender that we just earned, it's not my style. It's a busy pattern. It's beautiful, and I love the bag. It's just a busy pattern. It's not what I would have chose for myself, but I'm going to use it to sell it. On March 1st, I'm going to go live in my VIP group, and I'm going to show it off. So definitely. Okay, so Erica doesn't help.
That's why we're best friends. Erica, you're not allowed to say anything about prints and patterns on this call, okay? Zip it, Mrs. Grage.
Okay, so Penny asked, are we taxed on the full retail amount? I think so, because I don't have a breakdown of everything. I don't even know what some of the stuff was worth. Yeah, so right now, I don't know if you can see this. So mine says $448. So I'm literally taking that, and in my spreadsheet, I'm putting it as expense. I'll show you my spreadsheet right now. That's a good call, Cheryl. Okay, so share. Okay, did that work?
Yes.
Okay, so this is my spreadsheet. I'm crazy. So there are a lot of tabs at the bottom. Here's where I tracked all my mileage for 2018. So anytime I dropped off an order, dropped off catalogs for a party, went to a Celebrate and Connect, anything like that, I literally would go onto Google Maps and I would just Google the round trip from my house to their house and back. My mileage for 2018 was 712 kilometers, so 55 cents, so $391. And then here I just kept track of, I paid for shipping for a party, so I just kept track of all of that. Here's my big spreadsheet. So I started with my enrollment fee, which was just $1 plus tax. And then I kind of went from there. So I also keep track of my commissions because I'm anal and I need to know that what went into my bank account agreed to my T4A.
Oh my God.
So it was good. But this also, I'll just kind of just go down. So like anything that's highlighted yellow, those were my, I believe, start swell. And then green was what I used on my wishes rewards. And that was just so that I could keep track of anything I didn't actually pay for. I redeemed for some gift cards, which I got taxed on. But yeah, so I kind of like write where I went, like what I bought. So like here's Zares, snacks for open house. So I put that to advertising. So I was advertising my open house that I was going to have mimosas and all that fun stuff. So I just put the whole thing. These 450s are all those auto ship flyers. So you could put that to office expense or to advertising, whatever you see fit. Like I said, the government's not so crazy on like, they only see one number. They just see the net income that flows to your T1 general, which is like your statement of your personal taxes. So they don't see the different groups of how you're grouping your expenses necessarily. And if anyone's asking questions right now, I just can't see. So when I stop sharing, I'll check any questions. You also see I have like a me column. So if I like purchased a bunch of things and I wasn't going to write something off because maybe it was a gift for somebody else, or I just didn't think in my conservative little head that it was a business expense, I put it to me. Yeah, so I just go down to the bottom then, and here's where you can see I've like, because I had to have this number here agree to my T4A. So this was all like $3,000 was non-monetary. So I wrote off nearly all of it. I wrote off my start swell is above and my dreams come true were above, but my incentives I wrote off dollar for dollar. But it's a demo product and my host is exclusive. So I was one of the people who got stuck in the trap last year of hosting a lot of parties in my own name. A lot of them, I think I did 2 or 3 mystery hostesses. So none of those credits or exclusives were mine. I gave them away. So because I got stuck in that trap, 31 like added $1,500 to my T4A. So I actually went back through all of my parties and I figured out, what I purchased that was I used as an office expense. So like I purchased some fold-in files and stuff like that with my credits. I bought a bunch of demo products. These are all the products that I gave away. And then some things I decided to put to myself just because I'm conservative. But that's how I handled all of those parties that were in my name. In 2019, I'm not making that same mistake. If you go onto some of the Facebook groups, you'll see that a lot of people will say that if you're putting a party in somebody else's name, it's tax evasion. For the little bit of income that it is, I don't see it that way, especially when I actually looked back on my parties and, all but $470 was not mine.
I don't understand how they can, just because it's your name that you're putting there as your hostess. Like, for example, if your name was like Jennifer Smith, right? And you had a cousin named Jennifer Smith, like, I don't understand how they can just assume that it's you when you're just listed your name as a hostess. It just boggles my mind that they can do that when it's just, you're just, I don't know. It just floors me that can be done, but yes.
It bugs me too. And they've actually started taxing even people who work in retail. If you get a discount at the store or you get free uniforms or free clothes, they'll tax you on it. Your company is like the company you work for is supposed to keep track of that and add it to your T4. Like the government's just trying to get their hand and tax you in any way they can, which I don't agree with. Because, like I get my taxes done for free at my work. Does that mean I should have that added to my T4? Like, no. So I don't know. I have my 2019 started here. I'm a little more, I guess, descriptive, and I have a lot more columns and stuff just because I just wanted to track it a little bit better. you'll see here I have like as advertising that tote drive. So when I purchased the totes or the cancer care totes, I expensed the whatever I paid, and then I showed the reimbursement from the people who gave me sponsorships. So then I was writing off the difference. I also started separating out shipping and tax. Not that it's important. I just wanted to know how much I was paying in shipping every month or every year.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'm gonna see if I can check before I stop sharing. I'm gonna see if I can read. Yeah, I can. I can share in the group a blank spreadsheet. I'll just delete everything and I'll put it in. I'll just like only have the 2019 and the mileage, and then you guys can fill it out if that's good.
Yes.
Okay, so Erica was asking where I got that earnings form. So if you log on to that T4A.31, some weird website like that, if you go onto TOT, the website link is there. There's an earnings report tab. I can't even see my T4A. I can only see this. So I've got a message at office. Okay, sorry, I'm just trying to read everyone's messages to make sure I'm not missing anything. Erica asked how I came up with these names, these names at the top. And that's just from my experience doing taxes. I know what some of the lines on T21 and 25 are called, like advertising is one of them, dues and fees is one of them. That's where I put my website fee, because it's a fee. Shipping is a line on there, business supplies and office expense are separate lines. So not that it really matters, but okay, so I'm gonna stop sharing this. Okay. All right, so the next big thing was home office expenses, and it's kind of like the last big thing other than maternity leave, but like I suggested, I would just join one of those groups with women who are more familiar actually claiming the income with Service Canada, as I've never done it. Okay, home office expenses. So every single one of us works our 31 business from home. I highly doubt any of us rent an office to do it or a space. So the government says, so some of what's on my sheet here is directly copied and pasted from the CRA website. And I even included the link there. So if you wanted to like go and look more what they have to say. But basically, there's two conditions to write off a home office. You have to have it as your principal place of business, which is true for us because we don't work our business really from anywhere else. And you have to use the space to earn your income, use it on a regular and ongoing basis to meet customers, clients, or patients. So it has to just be one or the other. So the first one satisfies all of us. So we can all claim home office. The government likes to see a dedicated office. So if they were ever to ever audit you, then they would want to know that like the office is just your office. But there are tons of people who claim home office expenses when their desk and their computer are like in their living room or in their rec room or part of their bedroom. So claim it. So I listed here everything that you can claim. So you can claim all of your utilities, so hydro, gas, water, sewer. If you have to pay, like, I don't know, my sister lives in the country. If you have to pay anything for a septic, I don't know. Home phone and internet. So some people have different opinions on internet and they write off more than just the home office portion. Like my husband and I have decided that my home office is 12% of our home. But some people will say, well, no, I use the internet more than 12%. I think I'm writing off 50 because I'm just grouping it with my cell phone and I'm writing off 50% of my cell phone. They're on the same bill. So home insurance, cleaning supplies, repairs and maintenance, property taxes, mortgage interest, or rent. So some people will write off their entire mortgage payment, but the government specifically says it should only be mortgage interest. So talk to your accountant, get what their take on that is. But I just do interest. When I say repairs and maintenance and cleaning supplies, like if you have a pool, unless you use it for business, I might not like expense all of the pool cleaning and like all of that stuff. But for the most part, anything's fair game. So if you put a roof on your house, business expense. You can write off a percentage of that. So then there's two different ways that the CRA suggests how you calculate what portion is related to your business. The way that my husband and I did it was we looked at the square footage of our total home and then the square footage of the office space. So I actually have a dedicated office. I only use it for 31 really, or when I'm working from home from my So Erica just said, I was told at some point that you calculate the square footage of your home, or what the home office takes up, and then the percentage of your home. Yeah. So we determined that my home office is like 12% of the total home. And so I'm going to write off 12% of all those expenses that I just listed, but only for the months that I was a consultant. So I became a consultant like right at the end of February, but I didn't really start my business until like March. I think I had my launch party the first week of March. So I just did March to December to make it easy. But if you're a consultant the whole year, you write off a whole year's worth of expenses. The other way that the CRA says that you can calculate it is to determine how many hours in a day you dedicate to your business and divide that by 24 hours. Which that's just like a lot of work. Like I'd rather just add up all my expenses because I just go to my bank statement and filter them by name, and then all the hydro just all come together and I just write that off. So whatever is easier for you. Maybe doing the hours actually adds up to a better percentage, depending on like how much time you actually spend on 31. My husband actually asked me one time if I calculated all the hours I spent on this. No, that's a lot of work. Yeah, so does anyone have any questions on that? Is anyone for the utilities? So for utilities and everything, what you do is you calculate what everything was, like 100%. I add everything up. So I can't even really show you because what I did was I just filtered my bank account for the year and I just pulled all of like the hydro and all of the gas, and I pay rent, so it'd be just all the e-transfers to my father-in-law, and then I put that into my spreadsheet and then I just calculated 12% of that. So you don't get to write off like the whole, you just write off the percentage that's related to your home office.
Like I do 10%, which is also an easy round number. So yeah, I'll add up all my hydro bills, all my gas bills, and then whatever my total is, I take that 10%, put that in my spreadsheet, and then that's what I send to my accountant.
Yeah. Carrie asked phone too. So cell phone, I write off 50%. So I record that separately from home office. I write off my home phone 10%. I don't know if I really use it ever, but I have it. So I'm going to write it off. The government doesn't know I don't use it for my business, so they can't prove that. Does anyone else have any questions on that? Okay, that's kind of like, those are my main points. So I don't know if we just want to open it up. You want to unmute yourself and ask questions?
Yeah, if you've got questions, guys, just unmute yourself and go ahead. Come on.
Oh, hi. Thank you, Amanda. It's Chantal. I wanted to just go back to the trap that you were saying about posting in your own name. So I haven't been doing that because my sponsor kind of gave me the heads up, but I feel like it's, as I build my business, it will be a bit much to always put my mom's name down. So do you think that that's okay, or should I alternate, or maybe do more mystery hostess? Like, I just don't want it to look like my mom needs all this 31 all the time when she's 85.
If you want to switch it up, I mean, I feel like right now I'm putting them in my daughter's name. But I like people's ideas about putting it in their dog's name.
But nobody's going to see that. Like Chantal, you're saying, you know, your mom's 85, there's going to have all the sales, but nobody's seeing, like CRA is not seeing that all that stuff is in your mom's name. So,
Okay.
And 31 doesn't care. Like doesn't matter to them whose name it's in. That's my opinion on that. I do the same. Like my mom, I use either my mom's name or I use my first name with my maiden name. Either or. I do.
That's a good idea.
So if you get audited, it's not a big deal?
I don't think so. I mean, and even for me, like I have a lot in my name, like a lot of earnings in my name. As long as you can like show receipts and say, hey, this is what this was for. This is for the government. For the most part, it's going to be okay with like you justifying what your expenses were. But to do it in your mom's name, like no one's ever going to know.
Mm-hmm.
But if I get the hostess rewards through my mom and it's for advertising, like, or say it's a fold and file or something for advertising, then I can't claim it. I can't do both, right?
Right. So if you aren't putting it in your name and you're not being taxed on it and you're getting it for free, so say it's hostess credits, you're getting it 100% for free, then you can't expense it if it's not being added to your T4A.
Okay, great.
But only if it's being included in your income, because you always want to match your income with your expenses.
Perfect. Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Carrie, I'm feeling super overwhelmed. And taxes are really overwhelming. If you do your taxes yourself, though, someone had asked earlier today if they use TurboTax or they buy like the H&R Block software or they use UFile, can they file their 31 income? And absolutely. Sometimes I know I used to use TurboTax before. We usually go to Liberty. So I used to use TurboTax to file my family's tax returns before my company started letting us file our family's taxes. So I just had to buy, because my mom had a business, so I just had to buy like the next level up. So it was like a few dollars more, but then it had like the self-employment income on it. If you are going to an accountant, just summarize all this information. If you have an Excel spreadsheet, send it to them, print it out, give it to them. They're going to love you. Don't give them all your receipts.
Hey, Amanda.
Mm-hmm.
So we used to have like a pretty basic tax guy, and then last year I thought with 31 maybe I should have something like a little more sophisticated. I think she charged like $350, and it was like my T4, my husband's T4, and then my 31 T4. And I also had one from teaching at Mohawk, so pretty simple. And I gave her like all the numbers because she gave me a form. I owed more than that 350, which really pissed me off. Is TurboTax like okay to use with doing it like a split with a normal T4 and a like 31 write-off T4?
Yeah. Now, I mean, I'm going to say it's easy, but I also know, I know the forms, but so you can either use like when you buy these softwares, you can either use like it's called forms, or you can use like I think they call it an interview. So I don't know how the interview works. I've never used the interview just because I know enough to just use the forms. It might be easier to use the interview for everything but the 31, because with a 31 you're going to want to see all of the different lines for all of the different expenses. I wonder if I can show. I'm on my work computer right now, but I'm not sure if I can access the program just to like show you what it looks like. But $350 is a lot, especially if you're summarizing your expenses for your accountant. The less work that they have to do, the less it should cost.
Yeah, I literally gave her like they have a form on their website with like all the numbers. I filled it out, and then we owed like I just on my own owed more than her payment was, and then I think Brandon owed too.
For 31 you shouldn't, like right now in a loss position because of my home office. Now, the one thing I didn't note about home office is it can't put you into a loss, but it can put you to a zero. So if you say, like, I think this year, what was my home office expenses? Or last year, I should say. My home office, I calculated to be $978. So with my home office added, I'm in a loss of like 800. So the government's only going to let me claim zero income. I cannot have my home office put me into a loss. Like, the program just won't let you. No tax program should. They should all be set up to not allow that. But whatever I don't use of my home office this year, I get to carry forward to next year. So if you're going to use an accountant, they should just keep that information on file, like we do at my firm. It actually just rolls forward when we start using like next year's program. If you are doing it yourself, if you change softwares from the prior year, you're going to have to enter whatever your carry forward is. So you're going to have to look at last year's tax return and see what of your home office you didn't use that you get to carry forward. But that's where it kind of gets tricky. The government just doesn't allow you to have your home office put you into a negative income.
Thank you. Good night.
Any advice for putting in multiple incomes? I might take this one off. Please, Matt, leave 2 different jobs plus 30 minutes here. Oh.
Sorry, I'm just going to say goodnight quickly. I have to get going, but thank you so much. It's been really, really helpful. I appreciate it.
If you have any questions, you can just private message me too.
Okay, thank you. I didn't want to interrupt. I'm sorry for being rude, but thank you.
Good night, Steph.
Good night.
Okay, so the only issue with multiple incomes at this point, it's kind of like too late. For 2018, it's too late almost. For 31, I just suggest you try to get your income to zero if you can with all of your expenses, because then it won't affect your taxes. So I hate EI. I hate maternity leave. The government never takes off enough tax from your EI, which, I mean, you don't really want them to take off more because you're already getting so little. But maternity leave screws a lot of people, and almost like a lot of people owe when they're on mat leave, which sucks because you haven't had an income generally for a year. So my only suggestion is make sure in other avenues of your taxes, like you're claiming your medical expenses, you're claiming your donations that you might have made, you're claiming any child care expenses, just to help reduce your taxes in like every way possible. But unfortunately, if you owe money this year, it's because of EI and Service Canada didn't withhold enough tax. Anyone else?
Nobody else has any questions, but I mean, I don't know, maybe the thing is I don't know if everybody printed out that handout, but there's so much information there, but it's great. And I don't know if people already knew all of that, or if there's, extra things, like, even just by a show of hands, like, did you guys learn something that you didn't know? Like, share if there's something that you learned tonight from Amanda that you didn't know. I felt like it was great just to hear it from you, because I can tell people what I do, but I'm not an accountant. I'm not a professional. So it was really great to hear it from you, Amanda. So, is there still questions?
I posted the handout. It's a PDF, so I just posted it right in our group. So you just have to download it. If you have any other questions, like especially if it's like random or you didn't think it like about mat leave, or like Carrie asked if she could message me privately. Absolutely. If you have questions, especially if you don't have an accountant, like if you do your taxes by yourself, or if you go to H&R Block, please don't go to H&R Block, because you don't really have someone to talk to when you go there always. But you can, don't go to H&R Block. No, we do so many We get so many people come in with their H&R Block return and hand it to us and say, can you fix everything that they did wrong? Which is funny because they advertise the exact same thing.
Wow. I should have addressed this. So Stacy and Jen, who are from out west, you're not on our team page, but I will post that file on Lindsay's team page. Okay.
Oh,
so I think other than that, everyone's on our team page, but yeah, it's I should have thought about that sooner. Yeah, it's just some things that you can follow along. So basically Amanda just kind of went right through this 3-page document. So I'll do that tonight. As soon as I'm done, I'll post it on your team page so that you guys have that information. Okay, awesome. And thanks so much for joining, guys. I'm really glad that you guys joined from, it's early out there. It's only 7 o'clock out there.
I'm just noticing Julie R asked, what's the difference between a rebate and commission? For tax purposes, nothing. It's income.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm going to address this now because every single time we get an email about your rebate or your commission summary, I get messages saying, no, this is wrong. I don't know why they call them two different things. I really don't. You get paid twice a month, right? But the one email that they send, I believe it's the email that they send on the 10th, for the 10th of the month. It shows all of your income for the previous month. It doesn't just show what you're getting put in your bank account on the 10th. So if you earned something at the beginning of the previous month, you got paid on the 25th. But when you get that next summary for the 10th, it includes that, but you've already been paid that. So just make sure whatever sales you've had for that period, that's what you're getting paid. And if that's correct, then don't worry about what that summary says, because it's just kind of crazy the way they do it. Yeah, I don't know why they use the two different words.
I was just thinking, I'm just going to show you, I'm going to share my screen quick. Quick before we're done, I'm just going to show you what the form actually looks like for doing your business. So it's called the 2125. So it just says what the form name is at the bottom here. This is 2017, but that's fine. So basically you're going to fill out your name. You're going to put your social insurance number if you have a business name, but you don't need to have a business name. You don't have a business number. You only have a business number if you have an HST account, which we are not required to do. So you're just going to put your home address and when you started and when you finished. So I'm going to put like whatever day I enrolled and the end of the year. So December 20 or 31st, 2018. And then if it was your last year of business, then you can tick that off. Your main product or service is direct sales. And then this industry code. Everyone's going to ask me about it. And I had this written down, but it's not on the page that I have right now. Oh, wait, maybe it is. No, it's not. So what I'm going to do is, maybe I can, no. Okay, so the industry code is 45439. So it's basically other direct selling establishments. So, but to go back to this, so what's going to happen is when you put in your T4A, depending on what program you're using or if your accountant is doing this, at my firm, it automatically flows to this form. It's just an option to have it do that because either it's going to go directly to your income or it has to come to this form so you can write off your expenses. So you want it to come to this form if you want to write off expenses. So it's going to come in here. And then if you go down, so there's like a cost of goods sold section. So purchases during the year, that's where I'm going to put all of my, what do they call them? Demo products. I don't have wages, I don't have subcontractors, I don't have other costs, so I'm going to ignore all those lines. But then down here on the next page is where you're going to see like all those specific lines. So advertising, I'm going to have something there. Meals and entertainment, that'd be like if you're taking out a new recruit who you're trying to like wine and dine and get them to sign up. Maybe you take them for coffee, maybe you take them for dinner. Write it off, you can claim 50%, so basically the portion that's for them, you can't claim your meal.
Amanda, can you clarify something for me? So I remember a few different people have told me this, that is it once a year you're allowed to claim a 100%, like a 100% staff meal or staff party or, okay, what are the details on that?
So once a year, you're allowed to claim a party or a meal or something, like whatever you want to choose. A lot of people do their Christmas party as 100%.
Okay.
So if you're treating your team to a big Christmas party, or you're throwing a big bash at your house and you're buying alcohol and food or ordering in or whatever you're doing, then I would just write it off. There's like an other expense line here.
Okay.
And I would just write team party.
Okay.
And then, because if you're going to put it in meals and entertainment, it's only going to allow you to deduct 50%.
Okay.
So that's a good point. Good point, Lorna. It doesn't happen a lot in direct sales, but because we do work in teams, it can.
Mm-hmm.
And so most of us don't have insurance. Bad debts, that's more so like it could happen if you paid for something for somebody and they didn't give you the money. Make sure you're writing that off. So business license or business taxes, license and memberships, that's probably where I'm going to put my website fee. And if you signed up for like a K-Kit, you could probably even put that there, because technically that was like your enrollment fee. It was like, I'm just noticing there's a lot of chat. A catalog, I put mine in office expense. You can put it wherever. Like you could put it to advertising, because technically it is advertising. You have your name on it. The government only sees your net income or loss, which is like 99946 here. That flows to like your T1 general, which is like the only information the government sees. So however you want to categorize things, as long as you can justify it as a business expense and you have the receipt, put it where you think it goes. Yeah, if you pay an accountant, write it off as a business expense. That's another thing that I forgot to say. So there's the travel expense line. It says utilities here, but don't claim like your home office utilities there. This is more so if you like rent a space. So a lot of people will rent an office space, but also have to pay like the hydro. That's for that. So fuel costs. So if you are calculating mileage, you can either put it as travel or fuel costs. It says except for motor vehicles, but like I said, the government doesn't see this. Delivery, freight, and express, that's where I put all my shipping. And then the other section that I wanted to show you is this business use of home. So down here is where you're going to put all of your business home office expenses. And then it's going to say here minus personal use portion. So somewhere on whatever form you're using or whatever form that your accountant is using, they're going to have to enter that business portion expense that you calculated. And then what happens is the program should automatically deduct what isn't business related. And then when I was talking about how you cannot allow the home office to put you into like a negative income. So if you are able to carry forward any home office expenses, it would show up on line 15 down here. So business use of home expenses available for carry forward. So then next year when you do your personal taxes, then you would make sure that that number is on your next year's taxes, so that you're getting as much of a deduction. Does anyone have questions on the form? You can claim your tax return fee if I wouldn't claim I don't pay for it. I wouldn't claim last year's because I wasn't a 31 consultant. When I filed my 2017 taxes, what I paid in 2018 would have been for my 2017 taxes. But if I went to an accountant in 2019 and they filed my 2018 taxes with my 31 income, then I would claim that as a 2019 expense. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing if everyone's good with that. But I think that kind of shows too how I got all like the categories for my spreadsheet, because I'm gonna post my spreadsheet tonight. So that kind of explains how I categorize things, because I know Erica was like, whoa. But I just kind of go by the lines that are on there. You can add columns if you want to like separate things a little differently, or if you want to go specifically based on the lines on that form.
Awesome. Yeah, you know what? Let's try to wrap it up. We've been just a little bit over an hour. And Amanda, that was awesome. Thank you so much for doing that.
No problem.
Yeah, it's kind of one of those things that I've been really wanting to do for a long time. This is perfect timing. So, so how about if you post that blank spreadsheet with all the categories? If anyone has any questions, you can ask the questions in that post. Stacy, if you and Jen have any questions, you can message me and maybe I can connect you right with Amanda if you have anything that you want to go over with her. And I think that's it. That was really great. We had a lot of people on tonight. I am recording, so I will share the recording too. So, and you know what? I'll put that over on the Team Goal Diggers page too. So anyone that missed us tonight can hear what we had to say. Awesome. All right, so I'm sure everybody's saying thank you, Amanda. Everybody's still muted, but thank you so much. And thank you guys for joining us. And again, just to ask questions if you have any, and hopefully no one has to pay any taxes this year.
Yeah, try to make it a 0. I'm sure.
Yay. Yes, awesome. Okay, guys, thank you. Good night.
Thank you.
Amanda. Thank you.